He's a relatively melee-ish hero though on Storm because he wants to use Remnants in lane, and Sand King can really abuse that with Caustic. It's hard to approach the lane. Like, if Storm walks into a wave that has a bunch of Caustic prepared creeps and he gets stunned, that's like a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
Yeah. It's hard because Sand King mid is not exactly something we've seen a lot, so it's hard to know the matchups. It's not, you know, people don't pub with Sand King, so you don't see the matchups very well. So I actually don't know how Storm Sand King goes, but I could see it going either way, potentially. Maybe skill-based.
I'm intrigued to see if that does end up going that way, but Talon have picked up Mars and Rubik now.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mars is still good. 10 patches later.
I mean, I was talking to you like about like you know what to expect from Talon. I was like, you know, KP's just like the most like he's very generic when it comes to like his role in the offlane. He's very solid and standard. He plays your typical, you know, tanky strength, blink stun initiators in the offlane. Like he's always on those team fight type heroes these days. Like going back in the past, like he had like some kind of weird heroes like Naga offlane, Tinker offlane, but. I think for the most part, he's just a very stable player, so you expect to see him on your Marses, your Tides, your kind of traditional offlaners.
I respect that.
Yeah, that's what he played with SMG, and that's what he was playing on Talon for all of Division 2 last tour.
Do you think there's a downside to playing things very traditionally?
No.
Okay.
Mars is the best.
Okay, I wasn't picking out Mars, all right? Don't get offended.
I mean, Mars is a hero. He's so generically good. He just kind of gives... He's not, like, incredible at one thing, but he is good at, like, everything. He's a very sturdy laner. He's always going to usually get farm in his lane. If anything, he could even get kills in his lane. He's... just provides good team fight area control. He has a stun. Like, he's just he's a boy who does things. He can even tank for towers, so you can push more easily. Like, it's just a nice hero to have. He's also like, they have so much catch and setup on Talon right now, so this Storm and IO in general will just have so much to play around.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's like a free Ember game at all. Not to say I still like the Ember pick. I think there's some obvious synergy with the Grimstroke, and also Lilgun play best when Sanctity is on these kind of spirit type heroes. If he's not on the TA, I think the spirits are kind of his next go-to, so it makes sense for that draft, but they have plenty of ways to lock down and kill this Ember. But we're definitely seeing Talon. They've done their homework. They're banning the Riki, which has been one of Lilgun's kind of other kind of, you know, niche picks. They particularly like to run it with the Grimstroke, so Talon is showing up well prepared for Lilgun.
You guys seem to be favoring the Talon sort of lineup a lot here. Is there a Lilgun pick at the end here that could potentially sway you guys to like that lineup more?
They're currently very fast-paced. All the pros that we keep hearing from, they keep talking about how good it is to be fast and aggressive. Yeah, win your mid, go fast, do things. And I think Lilgun's lineup's very good at that right now. Talon's is also the same, to be honest. I'm not really sure what they're going to go with. Knowing like what 23 Savage has been picking recently, it's a lot of ranged heroes. It's a lot of like Drows, Medusas, snipers type things. They just banned PA and Riki, which are two carries with natural jump. So that could maybe, you know, say that they're trying to go in that direction.
10 seconds remaining.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. I mean, but he also plays super traditional carries. I mean, this is 23 Savage. This dude is not... I mean, Morph is banned, but like he's a beast at the Morph. He can play Terrorblade. He can play Luna. All this stuff. His pool is wide. He is very versatile and very talented.
Yeah, I wonder if they do consider also that IO factor when it comes to that hero pick here. They're going to go Medusa.
It's tried, true, tested. It's doing well in Southeast Asia at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think they were necessarily fully planning for this. Like, I don't think, like, PA and Riki aren't, like, bans if they were intending to pick Medusa in my mind. And we're going to see Lilgun stick with the aggressive kind of mindset, pick up a Monkey King. Not a hero that Medusa, like, with the Diffusal and, like, the Wukong's command, it can cause Medusa some problems in the teamfight, because Medusa's not, like, the most mobile carry.
Yeah, she loves to sit there and hit, and Monkey King puts down the circle and says, move. And she's like, I don't want to move, Mom. Stop.
Gonna be a little bit of a standoff between those two, but we do have two more people to bring in. It is gonna be Mike and John. Thankfully, gosh, get in here, please. Save me from these other two and give me your thoughts on this draft.
Well, I really dig the Talon draft. No bias here. I like the Talon
I
draft.
like the Mars Arena
combo. It's nice. What can I say?
And Mike, are you purely just going to say Lilgun because you have to go the opposite of John now?
Well, look, I like the Talon draft too, but yeah, we're going to go Lilgun. I can't let John run the show today. John X Bias is here with us, so I'm going to go Lilgun, and we'll go the opposite way and see what happens.
I'm looking forward to it. And last question before we do leave you, this is for everyone, but I'll start with you guys on the couch here, is between the Medusa Stone Gaze and the Monkey King statues, which statue would win?
Oh.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Statue on statues?
Yeah.
Medusa makes statues of the enemy, though, so it'd be the enemy fighting themselves.
Okay.
Monkey King, I guess.
Okay.
Monkey.
Just had to be
I feel
opposite.
like that was a very philosophical question.
It was. So I'll let you think with it, and we'll see what happens during the game. But we're going to duck off. We're going to leave Mike and John to take game number 1 between Lilgun and Talon.
Yes, thank you very much, Nat. It is MLP Dota with the John X Bias. John, welcome, sir. This is your time to shine. You're a Talon John X Fire now. You do believe Talon has the better draft here, and surprise, surprise, I suppose you would say that. Tell me the truth, though, Jonathan. How is Lilgun going to win this game number 1?
They've got the Grimstroke. We always talk about this when we cover the Lilgun games. Even without the Lycan, it feels like they just know how to play with Grimstroke combos. So you've got the Ember, you've got the Sand King. These are already really strong ways to get that Inkswell on top. And Lilgun do have a way of handling that Dusa. They have a really good chance in terms of getting some team fight out themselves. And I think Talon's got to watch themselves. You've got the IO on hand. Hyde, before this roster change, feels like he was playing more of a playmaker sort of support. IO is not that much of a playmaker, but he does enable a lot of your lineup. Really strong combo with Mars, really strong combo with Storm and the Dusa. So you can just pick and choose who you want to drag into the fight. I think Talon's got to be able to play around at level 6 on the IO, play with the relocates, apply some pressure, ensure the Monkey King doesn't get to that point where he's snowball. The Ag's timing would say the defusal up on Monkey King. It's going to feel pretty bad for Savage if he does get that big here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you anyway. I think Talon does have the better draft going into this. And it's one of those things with Lilgun, and I think Gods pointed this out during the panel. They did their homework. Like, they banned out the Lycan, they banned the Broodmother. And I think those 2 picks alone just makes the game so much easier for you. Of course, not allowing Sanctity to have that TA either, always going to feel amazing. So yeah, we'll see what Lilgun gets done. Obviously, most people do view this team as one of those teams that tends to run a lot of cheesy drafts. This time around, they don't really have that cheese, John.
Yeah, but we've also said this about Lilgun. Whenever we see them run more standard drafts, it feels like they actually play better because they're just a very solid team, and you just don't expect that sometimes.
No, you certainly don't, John. Still, 90 runes, 2 for 2, I believe, is the Talon. They are going to go for a bit of a push, and KB actually gets the second for his team. 4-2-3 now. Turn around onto KP with a fair bit of damage coming out. Boundless, or rather Jingu, is going to be there, but he is still level 1. No Boundless strike to throw out here. 4-4-2-3. While we're around, we may as well start with this bottom lane, Jonathan. You've got Hyde and KP, of course, against 4-2-3. And of course, Ace 12. Don, do you favor one side or the other in this bot lane?
I think it goes either way. Monkey King versus Mars is very, very stable for Monkey King. It's a melee lane matchup. You are a melee, quote-unquote, hero, 300 range, so you can always just build up the Jingu. And it's still a really good Grimstroke lane. Like, if you want to play aggressive, by level 4 when Tree Dance is up, just hop around, have the Inkswell on, play with Boundless. You can easily burst down the IO. I think that's the one big issue for Hyde. He's got to watch that aggressive moving forward, and you have to watch it when that Jingu does proc.
Nice body blocks there from Ace 12 to just get that Jingu mastery going here for 4-2-3. Of course, over in the mid lane, you've got Makoto and Sanctity against each other, and it's the classic Storm versus Ember matchup. We used to say it does favor the Ember. Do you still think it goes that way, Jonathan, or do you expect something else to happen?
I mean, it's harder for you to burn through Flame Guard. At the same time, it's not necessary to get some damage off that way. So it still feels like a lane that Storm shouldn't be too bad at, especially by level 3. Play with a Vortex, play with Remnant, get double Overload on top. Sanctity's not going to be feeling great. This one really boils down to rune control. I think it's a very even lane. It makes or breaks by who has better rune control at 4 and 6 minutes. So both heroes really want that, and I'm thinking right now, Lilgun's support rotations are a lot stronger than Talon's. Like, IO rotating, Rubik rotating isn't as scary as a Grimstroke can snap on that mid. So I expect Lilgun to really force that issue of when those runes do spawn.
Yeah. that final lane as well. You've got the top lane. They're going to have 23 Savage and Q there on the Medusa Rubik against 11 and Kishka. A big fan of the Sand King and the Snapfire combo, John. I suppose you could have gone either way with the Sand King Grimstroke as well, but they do opt to go for the cookie into the Burrow Strike. Do you think this is a dangerous lane for Talon, or should they just be able to get some farm up on Savage here?
And they should be able to just farm up. It's not a very aggressive lane for Talon in comparison to Lilgun. You do have some save on hand, though, from Q. So if they do commit, you can always lift the Sand King away to minimize even more follow-through damage. And there's not much a Sand King can do to harass out the Medusa. It's a ranged hero, stands very far back from any sort of caustic finale or even the Sandstorm plays down the line.
Mid lane, Sanctity dropping very low here. Makoto almost securing the solo pickup there onto the Ember, but does not quite get there. Keep in mind, John, you and I, we used to cast Makoto a lot all the way back from the Boom days, and his Storm was something to always keep an eye on. He's very good in this hero.
Oh, yes, he is. Like, he knows how to play it to its limits. He uses that level 3 spike, as we mentioned, very well. Ember's a melee hero. Easy to vortex, easy to get the remnants off, and you don't block all the damage now, so it's actually a little bit more painful for the Ember here.
Yeah, very close call. Sanctity, he'll salve up this time around, but you never really want to be ferrying out regen if you can avoid it as the mid laner, so Sanctity probably not going to be too happy with having to spend that gold for himself. Makoto will just continue applying the pressure in the mid lane. Sanctity already losing so much HP once again. Though top lane is where all the action's happening. Apparently 23 Savage now in trouble top lane. He's going to be able to walk away and he'll be alright. They do burn through all the mana of the Medusa though. Looks like Q will have a salve anyway to just heal him up and give him a reset. But a lot of action across the map already.
Yeah, I think this is the right idea coming out from Lilgun. We know them as a team that loves to be aggressive from lane, so they're just constantly running with all the stuns they have.
And a nice setup there from Kishka and 11. They do secure first blood onto Q, and it's really as easy as getting a cookie into a burrow. There's just not much they can do once you do land that double stun combo.
Yeah, and they find a right target. It's a little bit harder to burst down the Medusa, much easier to burst down the Rubik, and the Rubik's your only real save in that lane. So if you manage to catch Q out, you can try to threaten Savage. There's no lift to cut off your combo down the line, and it just feels uncomfier for the Medusa. Still, Savage is still finding the farm he wants. 11, with his emphasis on aggression, isn't finding as much farm. He's going to need a little bit more of those kills to find that early, quick blink that we tend to see from the offlane now.
It's very interesting to see what kind of item builds you do see out of Sand Kings, right? Because you see Cuckoo on T1, he tends to go for Vanguard Blink. 11's going to be going for the Soul Ring into the Blink, I assume. It's just very interesting to see how versatile this hero has become, and I think Sheep even pointed out on the panel that you have been seeing a lot more mid-sanking as of late, which that is to your detriment because you really don't like seeing it at all. Still, mid lane, bit of aggression here from Makoto as Sanctity. Might be able to turn around now. Kishka with a great rotation out, and they will punish Makoto on the Storm. That's what you love to see from Lilgun.
Yeah, a bit too far forward for Mikado. He was winning out that lane really hard. Sanctity 14-3 on the CS, not feeling great, but that kill bounces him back. He's going to have level 6 by the respawn of Mikado, so he's not going to be in danger, and that's a very important kill for Lilgun. We mentioned that emphasis on the mid. 6-minute runes coming up, you need to kind of secure that.
Q trying to set up, Vortex is there, Makoto trying to return the favor. Problem is Sanctity is now level 6 and Makoto is still level 5. So he couldn't follow up to secure the kill. That means Sanctity is able to get away with his life intact. That's a really great start here for Lilgun in this game 1. I mean, Talon having a great time with their safe lane, but at the same time, John, so is 4-2-3. 34-8 in terms of CS. It seems like Lilgun, at least every single lane, has been won out.
Yep, they managed to get what they need, and I'm also keen on seeing that build up from 4-2-3. Right now, he's just going for the Orb of Corrosion, which is typical for the Monkey. But as mentioned, you have the Diffusal build-up that could work out. You have Maelstrom. The Ags is kind of back now as well with the Monkeys working the way they are. So a lot of ways to deal with Savage, and considering this good start, it's shaping up to be pretty damn good of a game for Lilgun. Now, mind you, Talon's not too far behind in net worth. Despite the kill disparity, they do maintain the slight lead here. And they still have this IO combination to come out from 3 heroes that we just got to see when Talon wants to commit. It feels like Talon is going to take the slower game. Lilgun playing aggressive as you'd expect, but I think we need to see that ramp up. Maybe as we approach a 10-minute mark, you would want to see more commitment, especially once the supports hit 6 here, Mike. When Soul binds up, when Kisses are up, you definitely want to see those cores to start falling on Talon's end.
Oh, absolutely. now Ace 12 just going to sit back and relax, just make sure 423 does continue farming. Talon not getting too aggressive yet. I mean, they do have some very strong mid-game timing, so they'll want to wait it out a little bit. Allow Savage to keep farming on that Deucer. It's probably the game plan here for Talon. You also see Makoto trying to catch up after that laning stage he did have. Going to find a nice arcane ring for himself, which is one of arguably the better items on Storm. So very nice to see it there for Makoto. And in he comes down to the bot lane. Hyde getting the heals up. See if they can catch out 423 or Ace 12. Preferably the Monkey King if they can. It does seem like Makoto's just going to hang around the Radiant jungle instead and just take the bounty rune. So no rotation out quite yet. They don't know where 423's gone. Though he is currently watching KP, but might not matter if you never find him. Makoto trying to move in now. 423 going to jump in with the Inksworn. Here we go onto the Monkey King. 423 has no help around him. He might just drop it. It looks like they've got him. Nice rotation from Makoto and KP with the bait.
Oh yeah, that's just nicely done. I mean, Lilgun are looking for those aggressive angles. We talked about that Monkey King Inkswell combination, but up against Mars, I mean, you have a lot of ways of just moving them away from the Inkswell. So really good movement out from Talon to get that bait up. Great kill from Makoto to start snowballing. They were giving a lot of space mid though. Like this is a lot of catch-up farm for Sanctity, but he is still trailing behind. Bottom network core is going to have to get a lot more from this lane in order to bounce back, and you are giving some good EXP out to Q. That's one thing with the support duo on Talon as well. Q is much more used to, you know, being a pause 4, so his 5s feel a little bit greedier. Like a Rubik 5 is definitely greedy. He's almost 6, just a level away, so you will have some stolen spells to play with. And with Sand King, with Grimstroke, with Snapfire on hand, there's a lot of good spells here for Talon to use later on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, mostly Burrow Strike, I think, is the spell that Q would really like to take. Especially once you've got the blink up on the Rubik, that Burrow Strike is just so impactful. This is hero. And I hope later on, Jonathan, we might be able to see the Ags come out for Rubik, which will make things very exciting, because then you can just Inkswell Burrow Strike yourself. you don't need a Grimstroke to help you.
No, definitely not. Lilgun, they use this space up top really well. They do manage to clear out the tier 1 while Savage already dips into the jungle. So this is giving a little bit of free space out for 11 to just get what he wants, and he's been able to farm really well. It is the Soul Ring Blink build-up that you mentioned there, Mike. So going to be going for the initiation, play around with the Inkswell, the cookie combinations. You're also halfway to 6 for Kishka. So as we mentioned earlier, Mike, once you have those teamfight spells up, I think that's when you can expect Lilgun to really apply the pressure. They're going to be constantly running around. Even the build-up here from 423 indicates that he's not going for a farming game. You know, he's going for Maelstrom next, but even with just Orb Corrosion and Power Treads, he's just standing in the tree line, staying safe, looking for opportunities. And it's just that classic Lilgun play where, you know, they might take it a little bit easy in laning phase, but around the 10 to 15, maybe 20-minute mark, they really start to apply that pressure, and we'll have to see if Talon can withstand, because for the most part, this lineup of Talon will be playing 4 versus 5.
Absolutely. It's one of those interesting things, though. Like, both their timings seem to revolve around that mid-game here for either side, and, well, I do agree the Medusa is going to take a bit more time. It does seem like you want to get aggressive throughout that 15, 20-minute mark, and we'll see which one's able to kind of find the opening and hit that timing a little bit better than the other. We do still have a bit of a pause, but a reconnection is here. Hopefully we'll be able to get this game one underway once again very soon. Oh, Lilgun. I mean, I suppose in some way they've got to play patiently as well. I mean, you're waiting for 423 to get those initial items up, and at the very least he wants the Diffusal Blade to be there on the Monkey King before he really gets going. But he has queued up a Maelstrom as well on this Monkey King, so perhaps... Perhaps it may take a bit more time than you'd expect to have the Diffusal up.
Yeah, like the Maelstrom will allow him to farm a lot better, and I think that's a key thing. If you are playing against the Dusa, you do want some way to keep up in that build-up, and it's just a bit of a compromise. It also gives you some early presence in these fights anyway, so it's still a worthwhile investment, but he's not getting as much. He's not farming as actively. He's just standing in the tree line again, being a bit defensive, because Talon has a lot of ways of catching him out. So I do want to see some more safe space for 423 instead of the spot lane. He does feel like it's not the safest area to be in. But maybe with Ace 12 around once more, they could try with the Inkswell combo.
They could, John. They certainly could. Bot lane, KP. Nah, he's going to be just fine. They aren't aiming for him, but rather just aiming for the creep wave. Well, mid lane is being forced in, but Savage will be there to respond to this, though there is a bit of a group up. Savage is going to get surrounded by 3 heroes here as Sanctity. He's going to force out the Stone Gaze, and now Savage going to try and fight back. Will go after 11. Q's actually rotated, and Makoto has as well, so they will find something. Very fast rotations there from Talon. They end up finding 11 for their trouble.
And that's just real quick. They were kind of spread out. Savage was in the front line. Great bait from him to hold the mid lane, and they're building up on here. They really need to snowball. Makoto is finding a decent amount of kills too now on our Storm, going for the Orchid build-up. Once he has that, he's going to have free reign to just jump in, get the overcharge on, and just melt some faces if you're not careful.
Yeah, here we go again. Kishka in big troubles. Makoto makes the jump in, and Kishka, he's going to try, but it's not going to be good enough. Makoto picking up his 3rd kill of the game here on the Storm already. And in the meantime, mid lane, who have they got there? Ace 12, he's been caught out. He'll try for the Inkswell, but it's not going to be enough. Q and Savage take care of it. I believe Q actually ended up lifting the Grimstroke onto the high ground.
Yep, really good plays coming out from Q.
Oh, top lane. 11.
What?
Well, we just saw what happened to the Sapphire, John. Apparently, Makoto just stuck around, and he'll even take out 11.
Yeah, that's a bit surprising. I don't expect a solo Sand King to really burst down a Storm with an IO around. Maybe just not hooking up with the team in time, expecting this rotation coming in now with Sanctity. They might find Hyde, but not really the target they'd want to commit for, and Sanctity does back off. This is a worrying sign, though. Look at that net worth disparity on the graph right now. Like, Sanctity is still bottom net worth core. Lilgun are equally farmed, and they're keeping up with KP, but they're not able to keep up with Makoto and Savage. And these heroes, as you mentioned, they still need some initial build-up. So this might stall out that aggression we were expecting from them. They still have a strong innate skill set at this time. We haven't seen the combinations with the Epicenter blink just yet, along with the Kisses, along with the Inkswell, and I think for Lilgun, they need to start playing around with that spike they have in levels and skills right around this time. So we'll see how much more they can get out here, but as long as this game stays relatively slow, Talon are very comfy, because all of them scale really well into the late stage.
Looks like Q's being caught out here on the Rubik, so 4-2-3 should have a nice easy kill for himself as Q is still trying to get himself out. He'll go for a run. Sandstorm is there. Now the spear out from KP. Where's the detection?
What?
Where is the detection, Q? He is going to survive. Oh, they'll get the kill eventually, but Kishka now is in trouble. The relocate play is there, and somehow... Oh, it's so hard to watch as Ace 12 now. He'll be jumped. They're out of mana though. Maybe Ace 12 can try to make the turnaround play here with the rotation out from Sanctity. In fact, 11, he'll jump back in, zip away from Makoto. They'll try it to KP, but now hides back on the IO, trying to keep the Storm alive. Makoto, he'll go for another zip away. He still made it. There's a remnant forward though. Sanctity's going to try. Chains are not going to connect. Not onto the Storm. Oh my goodness, Q on the Rubik with a perfect setup. You love to see that, John.
And that is just ridiculously on the edge, but really using the lift well. The KP ready on hand to get the spear to save and stall out the fight. Just amazing stalling from Talon. Lilgun not dissuaded. They do get the smoke up. They know Savage is likely alone here on mid.
There you go, Savage in big trouble. Inkswell, Epicenter is there, but Hyde is there to save the day, and now the jump in. Makoto, he'll take down 11. KP will drop in the meantime. They're still trying to fight Savage. He's just manning up with the Stone Gaze, but he's out of the Wukong's command. He is safe for now, as Q is going to be able to back off. Scatter Blast does land, but it won't matter. Oh boy, things are getting rather spicy in this game one, though it does seem like Lilgun came out on top with that fight.
Oh, for sure. They find KP, they take down Hyde. Well, not the biggest kills, but they find a better trade, sacrificing their offlane for that and applying pressure onto Savage. So he has to go back to the set, not farm. They're still going.
Oh, Makoto! Makoto just ends up getting destroyed there as he went for the regen rune, and to be fair to him, John, he does get it, but it's a pretty expensive rune to pick up.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit greedy, but this should allow him to make a play down the line. Still, you are giving a lot of room back to Lilgun. This is starting to repair that slower start they have. We're seeing Sanctity climb up from all of these kills, taking that active position on the Ember. Has the Javelin up, so only one part away from his own Maelstrom, which is when the Ember really starts to have a lot more presence in these team fights. And they were also doing a good job of stalling up for 4-2-3 to hit the same item spike. So I think the aggression that we were expecting from Lilgun with her spells are starting to kick in. Talon is giving a good fight back, and they do have the Blinking KP here, so they're ready for a smoke play.
Yeah, Vortex is out. KP with the Arena Spear is going to land. And well, this is something she pointed out throughout the panel, John, is there's so much catch for this Ember this game. It's not going to be an easy time for Sanctity whatsoever. In fact, Ace 12 now does get caught. Makoto is going to juke out the Inkswell, and that's going to be another kill. And Savage, he'll come in and happily take the stacks off the hands of Lilgun.
Yeah, and that's the one thing with Talon's lineup. They clear out these stacks a lot better with all 3 heroes. You could maybe argue that the Sand King can kind of clear them out. He's not the priority for that build-up, so they would have loved to give that somehow to the Ember, to the Monkey King, but they're not ready to clear. Again, Maelstroms aren't up yet, Mike. So clearing out big stacks isn't that easy for these heroes just yet. And they're kind of bleeding back that lead towards Talon. 4K up. The distribution for Talon's looking really good as well. Savage just #1 despite all that pressure. They've managed to really drag Lilgun away from their pause 1 here and just ensure that their win condition's still building up. Lilgun are going for another smoke play though. Again, you have to respect that Inkswell combination they have, and let's see if they find something.
Lilgun moving into that dire jungle, but not finding anything quite yet. Into the mid lane perhaps where Savage is sitting, but he's not the easiest target to try and burst down. And we've seen how fast Talon will respond to these gank attempts. They've been very good. There's very quick reactions. Lilgun, they'll give up on it. Instead, pings up towards the top lane, towards KP, who does hide in the tree line for now, and looks like he'll be fine. As 4-2-3 moves in. No, never mind. KP, he's jumped in on his own. KP's trying to go for this on his own, but now the relocate's in. They've got the Monkey King. They'll take him down. On to Kishka they go, and that'll be a second. Well, KP going for the risky play, but he always trusts that the relocate would be out. In the meantime, though, can he get himself out? It doesn't seem like it. He should be set to fall, but a nice spear away on the Sand King, and now the turnaround. Q's here with the Inkswell, back onto the Grimstroke. Meanwhile, they've got Sanctity on the Ember Spirit, and KP, he's going to survive. 11, still trying to run and does make it out with the TP. But Lilgun, they are finding nothing. Absolutely nothing for their trouble.
And you really have to appreciate how well Talon's using the relocates. I think the past few IO games we've seen has been more in the defensive. This is the more aggressive IO play that... Honestly, it's reminiscent for me, Mike, when we saw Boom in November, right after TI, when they initially got their lineup. I remember Skem was saying, we love IO because it allows us to control the map. This is what Skem was talking about. Talon's doing that exact playstyle really well. Just have one hero on hand, immediately respond with the rest of your team, immediately drag in the storm, and burst people down.
This Radiant Triangle not feeling too safe right now. Looks like Talon will leave the area. Is the Roshan? I mean, no, it's going to be way too early for Roshan here for Talon. Lilgun, they do have some very good ways of getting vision into that pit if they need to. Lilgun, they'll just hold that triangle for now. I mean, it's very dangerous times. They're 9k behind. Can't afford to give too much gold back the way of Talon. Gotta take the time to get those initial items up and give themselves a fighting chance in this game 1. For Talon, though, John, would you agree that you just... Like, you can play very conservatively here as Talon and just rely on Savage and even Makoto to just kind of carry you later on?
Yeah, you do run the risk of seeing a very fat Monkey King. As the panel mentioned, as Shifu mentioned as well, like, the rework to the monkeys, to the statues does feel really strong. The Fusel's really potent here, although...
They got down a bot lane. They've got 4-2-3 again, and they've bursted him down. Makoto, he'll get it done on his own. And this Monkey King, he is not having a very good game at all, John. There's too many ways to find him.
Yeah, and they've got just such great coverage coming out from Talon. Their wards have been able to enable them to play aggressively. In comparison to Lilgun, their wards are really defensive. On the triangle, on the Roche pit, like, they are forced to just keep a track on where Talon's looking to be aggressive, and this is very much not like Lilgun. We talk about them as a very aggressive team. Even just this vision game being so defensive isn't to their tempo. I think that's kind of hurting them a little bit here.
Yeah, he's going to find another target here, John. Ace 12 going to drop Sanctity. Thanking his lucky stars that Orchid is on cooldown here for Makoto, and in fact, they'll relocate top lane. Kishka is going to narrowly avoid the spear as KP was not quite on the mark. Keep in mind that was a blind spear attempt, and he was pretty close, but not quite close enough.
Yeah, they were camping for Makoto and Hyde's return. Sanctity looking for the opportunity, but doesn't quite find it. He does have the Maelstrom up, and the rest of Lilgun are clumped around here, but does look like Talon is just going to play it safe. The build-up is pretty standard as well coming out from Mikado. Kaya Sanj coming through. So just stat resistant, all of that. Savage.
He brings the smoke on. It's a hard target, but they're going to jump in with the Inkstwell and the epicenter. They'll try, but Savage, he's going to man up again and Hyde's there. He'll heal him up. Savage, though, dropping very low and does go down now. They've got the Medusa. They'll go onto KP, onto the Mars, and they should have another. Lilgun finding a successful team fight. Everything kind of goes their way now as they even found Q. But Q is going to take the Burrow Strike for himself and does get himself out. Still a great initiation there from Lilgun.
And that's what they needed. They needed to catch out one of the cores while Talon wasn't ready to come back in. They knew Relocate was down, so the immediate response wasn't there for Talon, and this allows them an opportunity to shove in that mid-tier one, evening out map control. Big win for Lilgun, and that's the aggression we need to keep seeing. They need to keep going for these smoke plays. They catch Talon with their defensive wards, and we're holding the high ground there. I think if they do manage to get more aggressive wards out, if they manage to figure out where Talon's going and just time themselves around Relocate. Like, you lose a support to Relocate, that's fine. Group up as 4, hunt them down while the IO can't respond. That feels like the hit and run that Lilgun needs to achieve at this point to reel back this lead. 8K isn't unplayable, but you definitely want to drag it back to even sooner rather than later.
I'm over here.
Still 9-17. Lilgun showing signs of life here in this game one. Take their time again to just get that farm back going. It's like 4-2-3 is very close now to having that BKB up, and that should make life a lot easier for the Monkey King. At least in terms of surviving the onslaught that is Makoto on this storm. Still a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel here as they are going to smoke up again. Lilgun this time will try to go into the dire triangle. Much harder position to try and infiltrate, but they're feeling confident right now as they will move in. Sadly for them, nobody's actually occupying that dire triangle right now, so instead they're going to wrap around the other way. Check the other jungle here on the dire side, but it does seem like Talon are very well aware this smoke is happening, and they'll just hug the tier 2 mid tower.
Great readout from Talon. Not entirely sure if the smoke was spotted by that lane ward coming out from Talon, but they get a good read, back off, get back to farming, and deny Lilgun that opportunity. Again, for Lilgun, that kind of movement is pivotal for them to bouncing back. They have really strong spells. It gets tougher once these BKBs are up. KP has one, for example. Down the line, you might expect even Mikado maybe to get that investment as well, though Hyde and Mikado are right in front here.
Oh, Burrow's off the mark. 11 does not connect with the Burrow Strike, so Makoto is going to turn back around onto the Sand King, and in the meantime, KP's caught another. In fact, he's caught 2. Ace 12 and 4-2-3. They'll wait it out, but there's a lift up from Q. They want the fight, and they want it right here, right now. Ace 12's going to drop the zip forward. Makoto still having a look around for the Monkey King, has found him. 4-2-3. He's trying to run. In fact, he'll turn onto Hyde. It's not going to be good enough, though. Makoto will just keep going and finds another, as Kishka is still trying to hunt down Hyde, but again, Hyde, he's proving to be very elusive. As they'll clear out 4 here from Lilgun. And all it takes is one mistake, John. And Talon, they will capitalize every time.
Yeah, that was so close. If they managed to get that stun, I don't know if Mikado would have lived. They did have Relocate to bail out, but the follow-up fight would not have broken out that way. So, unfortunate for Lilgun. Talon, again, just in the right spot at the right time. That entire fight happened under a sentry that was planted way earlier as well. So the Sand King just had no escape route and straight into the Rosh. Like, they know all the big spells have been used up on Lilgun. Not the quickest Rosh, but a very secure Rosh for them to take. Savage already having the Eye of Scotty with a protection of Aegis. Bursting him twice here without that defusal on the Monkey's going to feel really difficult.
Sanctity avoid the fight right now, as in fact Makoto has jumped in onto Ace 12, but does get silenced immediately. And would you look at that, Jonathan? Look what's just spawned up down at that bot rune spot. Yeah, a classic double damage rune here after the Roshan this time around. But that does mean it could be another great team fight for Talon to come.
Yeah, and the output of Mikado with the Tether Overcharge plus the Kaya Sanj is just ridiculous. The spell amp is pretty damn high. The Orchid gives him a lot more damage as well in terms of attack speed and just raw damage. So it's a bit of a snowballing effect now for Talon in play. Mind you, Lilgun's not out of it. We just need to see them get some good movement out. They are making the right call of not being aggressive while Aegis is up. So expect them to be a little bit more defensive until maybe the high ground defense, where their lineup does shine really well with all their AoE. But any forward movement, I don't think they'll be able to do it until they see IO relocate committed, just to ensure that there's no backup.
There we go. Sanctity has spotted out Makoto, but does back off, or has he? Makoto. Chasing him down. Can he get the Vortex in time, though? Sanctity still playing around. Now gets silenced up, but he's got the Yule Scepter. He'll survive for now. So he will run back the other way. KP still going to go for a bit of a chase here, looking for a Spirit Temp, though does not connect it. So they will have to back off now. In the meantime, on the left side of the map, it looks like Kishka's been caught out here by Savage and Hyde. So Kishka will drop. 11 is going to try and infiltrate and jump in with an Epicenter Burrow Strike, and he does land it, but Hyde's too tanky. Hyde's surviving throughout all this damage output, and now with the Stone Gaze out 11, he's a bit of a sitting duck. 423 is going to try and help out with the Boundless, and he does get at least Hyde. But it does cost them 11 again. It's just not a good trade at all for Lilgun.
No, and that wasn't even Talon being aggressive. They were just farming with Savage. He gets a couple of hits with a Scotty. Suddenly the Snapfire can't run away, and they just managed to melt. And now, still with the protection of Aegis, respawn from Hyde isn't too far off. High ground's very open. Like, there's no epicenter for this defense as well. Wukong's is still up, but it feels like without that epicenter, it's a lot harder to pin someone down with the Sand King combinations, with the burst you might have with epicenter plus the kisses. So Savage just gets to work, knowing there's not much of a threat here just yet.
Yeah. Just freely taking away that rack, so Kishka is going to jump in with the Scatterblast stun. Savage trying to get out of the Wukong's command, is going to be lifted up by Q, thrown back the other way. 423 though is still trying, and Savage is completely out of mana, but he has that Aegis up. In the meantime, Makoto, he's in on the backside, and the supports are just going to melt to the damage output, and Savage is just not dying. He is just not going to die. Aegis or not, he does not care. He'll just keep fighting as Sanctity, the last piece of the puzzle, is going to try to run and will make it out. But Talon, they're going to go high ground again. They are not done.
Yeah, it's just so forced. I mean, it looked good, but they lack damage. If they had epicenter in that fight, you might have seen the Aegis fall. You might have seen KP die before the BKB went off, and oh,
Sanctity, no. Oh boy, Makoto just way too on the mark this game. 16, 2, and 6 is the scoreboard here from Makoto, and they call it. How can you blame them, John? Talon, I'll tell you what, they made it look easy this game one.
Yep, they execute really well. They're really coordinated. I mean, you can see that stark improvement from Tour 1 Talon, right? Like, the new roster seems to be much more in line with each other. They're coordinating as a team. They use this IO really well. They enable a pause 5 Rubik to get the necessary farm. The Shard pickup by Q, his plays early on were really big, and their strategizing was really strong. So Talon looking really good, but Lilgun, props to them. I mean, they go back to that Grimstroke with some combinations with the Ember Spirit and the Sand King. Not enough to overcome, but we saw the ideas there, Mike. We saw what they wanted to do with team fights and ganks. I think they still have they have a really clean shot at this, but they have to be able to play against the bait that Talon had. They just make use of KP and Q really up front to get the relocates on top and just run them down after when they overcommit.
Well, I know how much you heckin' love Talon, John, and what I heckin' love is a great panel. We'll be back with our great panel right after a very, very short break.